Every 4 years, the British and Irish Lions tour one of South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand in a test series. This year, they tour Australia. And thinking about the British and Irish Lions touring, that got me thinking of a football equivalent. How would a football equivalent of the British and Irish Lions work? Now, the last time we saw a British football team was at the Olympics in 2021, which in which we saw the women's side play. And the last time we saw both men and women play at the Olympics was at London 2012. And since then we haven't seen a men's British team play. And currently there are no concrete plans to stage a British football team for the future. Now, of course, a team would consist of players from England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, but there has been resistance to this in the past. Like, take 2012 for instance, when players were turning down the opportunity to play for Team GP. Like, I recall Gareth Bale. He was penciled in to play for Team GB, but then pulled out with a suspected injury, yet turned out for Tottenham Hotspur. And that just goes to show that players are not interested in a British team. But what if they dropped their resistance and thought, hang on, this could be good? Like, what if the British and Irish Lions were in football? Now, which nations would a team tour? Now, in the rugby, they tour South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia, as those are the three traditional powerhouses of the Southern Hemisphere. And this year, they tour Australia, having toured South Africa 4 years ago and New Zealand 4 years previously. But a football side, which sides would they tour? Like, they could tour a European nation, say maybe Spain or France or Germany, or they could go global and tour the likes of Brazil or USA, or maybe they could keep it simple by touring Australia as well. Like, imagine a football team touring Australia or Brazil or USA. Like, those those three countries have just come to mind, but I'd like to know what you think. Like, if there was a British and Irish Lions football team, which countries could they tour to? Could they keep it traditional, or could they go global? Now, how often could a tour take place? Now, in the rugby, it's every 4 odd years that aren't Rugby World Cup years. And a football equivalent of a tour would be difficult to stage, as even numbered years are for World Cups and Euros. So maybe they could tour every 4 odd years that aren't Lions tour years. So basically, every 4 years there's a Rugby World Cup on. But of course, they would have to tour in the summer, which would probably be the same time as the FIFA Club World Cup, which doesn't sound too bad actually. Yeah, I'd have no wait. I've just confused myself because FIFA Club World Cup years are the same years as the Rugby Lions tour. So yeah, a potential tour could take place 2 years after a FIFA Club World Cup. So, like I mentioned earlier, before I confused myself, it would be every 4 years where a Rugby World Cup is taking place. That, yeah, that would probably make the most sense. But again, I'd like to know what you think. Now, which players would sign up? Now, it will be difficult given the long season players have, and of course, there will be a resistance to playing in such a tour. And for me, it would be the same resistance that was shown to the 32 team Club World Cup. But like I said earlier, if players dropped their resistances, this could be good in the long run or not. I don't know. But thinking about it, it really is interesting, isn't it? I mean, looking at the players that could be chosen, like, of course, the players that will be chosen will be based on form, like which players have played well for England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and Scotland. But there would be a bit of an issue because people will be like, hang on, this will just be mostly England players. And yeah, you're absolutely right to think that. But if you think about it, there are players who are playing well for like Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. I mean, because those countries are now on the up. Like they're being exposed more. I mean, we have seen Wales at international tournaments recently. Like we saw Wales at the World Cup in 2022, and we've seen Scotland at the Euros in 2021, and we're seeing Northern Ireland at the Euros in 2016. So a team. So yeah, that would be an argument for including players from Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales, and not just England. Now, what about a women's team? Now, I hear you say, wouldn't that be just be England players? And mostly, yes, it would be. And this is an issue that's shared with the rugby team because England are so far ahead of the rest that to not pick England players will be like, hang on, what's going on here? There are some England players who are significantly better than players from Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, yet they're not being chosen. Like, what's going on here? But anyway, back to the football. Yeah, a women's team. Like, what would this look like? Yeah, like I just said there will be arguments about this because people will be like, yeah, it will be mostly England players, but as we've seen recently, we've seen Scotland at international tournaments. They were at Euro 2017 and the World Cup in 2019. And we've also seen Wales at their first ever international tournament, it being the Euros this year. So that could be an argument to include players from Scotland and Wales as well as England. Like, imagine seeing the likes of Lucy Bronze and Leah Williamson teaming up with the likes of Jess Fishlock, Erin Cuthbert, and Kim Little. And those are just some notable figures from the international scene who played for Scotland and Wales. Yeah, of course. As I mentioned earlier, we last saw a British women's team at the Olympics in Tokyo 2021, and that came about as a result of England finishing in the top four of the Women's World Cup back in 2019. I mean, I think that's how it worked. And also, a Team GB team for the women's team, they didn't qualify for the Olympics last year because the qualification thing was changed from World Cup to Nations League. So, as a result of England not qualifying for the semi-finals of the Nations League last year, it meant that a women's team GB didn't qualify for the Olympics, which is a bit disappointing. But there we go. Yeah, I've just realised I went off on a tangent, which I do apologise for. But let me know what you think. Could we one day see a British and Irish Lions in football? If so, let me know. And if you think this will never happen again, let me know. And as for the women's team, I think, could this have legs? Like, could this have more legs than the men's team? Like, would a British and Irish Lions women's football team be more possible than a British and Irish Lions men's team? Again, let me know what you think.